Welcome to my show. I'm a guest here. Her name is Jen Mitchell Love. Mrs. Jen, how are you doing, ma?
I'm amazing. How are you doing today?
I'm fine. Thank you very much, Mrs. Jen. Firstly, you are an attorney. You are also an intuitive health and wellness life coach. Can you please,
Yes.
Mrs. Jen, discuss more about yourself and how you are doing currently now, ma?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. So I am Jen Mitchell Love. I have been a family law attorney for 19 years, and I'm also a mediator and an intuitive coach. So that is the first 9 years of my career, I was in the courtroom as a litigation attorney, and the last 10, I've been out of court and really figuring out a more loving, mindful, intentional approach to divorce.
Yes, definitely not easy. Thank you so much for the insights, Mrs. Jen. And I also like to go
Yeah.
to your book. I think you've written about
Mm,
Shine, Soul Shine. Can you please, Mrs. Jen,
yes.
discuss more on that book? Or and are you also planning to write more book in the coming future?
Yes. Oh, I love you. Thank you. Yeah. So I just released a book. It's called Shine, Soul Shine, and it's 30 days of healing and self-discovery through divorce. So it's a really easy tool that people can use when they're going through a divorce, before they're going through a divorce, after, anytime, if they're still hurting from that space, and it gives them 30 things that they can focus on to feel better. And I absolutely am already working on my next book, and I'm really excited to share this book with the world because it's a totally different approach to divorce that has been gifted and presented to me by my guides, and it's really exciting.
Exactly,
So yeah,
exactly.
that should be out in the next 6 months.
We'll definitely be expecting that. It's definitely not a easy thing. Divorce is one of the most I will not even say, but it's really, really hard. It's definitely difficult when someone asks, on the wedding day, it's always the happiest, one of the happiest day of one's life, and one will have to realize that they have to go their separate ways. It's one of the most, difficult time in one's life. I would like to ask Mrs. Jane, people feel like divorce is a sign of failure. They didn't
Mm.
really, probably they didn't, some believe that they didn't offer, they didn't do what they meant to do, they believe that they just fail to, have a successful marriage. So how do you think someone can shift their mindset from seeing divorce as a failure
Mm.
to seeing it as an opportunity to also, discover themselves in, some areas in life, Mrs. Jen?
Yeah. Oh, that's such a beautiful question. Because that is exactly the shift that is happening right now. That's exactly what my next book is about, is recognizing, I think those feelings of failure and shame. I think, and then the thoughts that divorce must be difficult, it must be a fight, your children must be affected, you must hate your spouse. I think all of those are really social programs that have been passed down through lineage, of the lineage narrative of till death do you part, there are good years and bad years, all of that combined with the human consciousness. And we've had millions of people in the past going through the court system to get their divorce. And in that system, this is the answer to your question, I feel, right? In that system, the court system, and just in general, I feel when people are going through divorce, they're externalizing everything. He did this. She said this. This happened to me. It's all external, external, external. And it's also all past focused. They're focusing on things that have already happened. And I think the great shift in the human consciousness that is happening right now from the third dimension to the fifth dimension includes, all of the broken systems, all of the outdated ways of navigating life and seeing things. And I think the shift to help people release those thoughts of failure, release the feelings of shame, release, the feelings of I'm a bad person, I didn't try hard enough, I didn't do it right, release all of that is to shift it to themselves and really start asking themselves and recognizing that marriage is a very strong contract. And of course, it's a legal contract because That's what brings people to me. That's how I connect with people because I'm an attorney. I help them get a divorce. But the bigger contract that I'm going to be writing about in this book, and I've started to talk about, is the soul contract. The soul contract of marriage, which means that those two people in that container of marriage, they are the only people who can reflect to one another the different reflections that the other person's soul needs to heal or came into this lifetime to heal. So I feel when we make that shift from external, he did this, she said this happened, all the gossip, all the low vibrational stuff, and completely out of our control because we're not in control of what anyone else does. And we can make that shift to self and start asking, okay, what am I seeing from this person? What reflections is this person showing me? And of course, in the beginning of the marriage, the reflections are a lot of light, you know?
Yes.
Ooh, I'm amazing. He loves me. He sees me. You know what I mean? They're a lot of light. And so when people get married, they're like, of course I'm gonna marry you. Of course, I want to live with you every single day of my life because this feels so good. And I think over time, when things change in our life, I think having children 100% is a very big change. But anything, a loss of a family member, a change in a job, any kind of difficult scenario changes us. It changes our vibration. And when we're not vibing in the same space, then, what that in my world, what that means is that contract, the soul contract of everything that you were meant to show each other and learn from one another in the container of marriage is over. You've finished it, you've completed it. And now it's time to shift into another space. And that's the part that's really empowering. That's the part where it's like, this isn't a failure. This is part of your life. And life is hard at times. And it's in those really dark times that that beautiful fertile soil is created. And we can sprinkle in all of these new seeds of reinvention and what we want our life to look like and feel like and be like. And we can be grateful for our spouse for spending time in their life journey, reflecting to us. It's a whole different approach to divorce that really is focused on the journey of self, on the soul's journey, on figuring out who we are and what we want and how we're going to make this world a better place and how we're going to shine our light. And I think divorce is a huge catalyst for that growth and that mindfulness and that self-love and that excitement to create your new life, and that gratitude and love for this person in that space and the recognition that, we can move into a different space. We can still love each other. We can still have fun together. We can still care about each other, but we're just not in that container of marriage. And of course, when we move to another space, now our souls are open because we have other soul contracts that we're supposed to be doing.
I think you made me understand that this thing deals with soul, it deals with energy, it deals with that
Yes.
vibration. Because if that vibration is there, the
Yes.
connection continues. But when that vibration just something happens, maybe it just close or the vibration just reduce, then the situation comes to a point whereby the connection, everything will now change and things like that. So it
Mm.
doesn't mean it's a failure. It's just like probably you need another sense of vibration, probably somewhere probably a space to also regain some vibration to also reconnect. That's really, really powerful. Thank you so much, Mrs. Jen.
Ah, it's
And
so exciting.
I would like to also dive to the point of, you know, future. When someone have generate this energy, trying to generate this energy, trying to make this
Mm.
person understand we are still friends, we could still care about each other, we could still
Mm.
see, the light and every stuff like that. One can also try his or her best to look at how he or she can view the future. How do you think
Yeah.
someone can, create a future for their for after leaving their marriage, Mrs. Jen?
Yeah. Oh, and I love that question too, because that's such a big part of the reinvention process is really getting clear on what you want your life to look like and feel like. And I think, from going through divorce myself, from guiding over 500 couples, it's really hard. It's really dark and it's really sad and it can be really overwhelming. And that's the beauty of the space to help create the future, is that I feel like you need to go through that dark night of the soul. You need to go through that space of recognizing that you can talk to everyone and anyone about what's going on and no one's going to understand it because it's your experience, it's your journey, it's your soul's journey. And so I think when people can really embrace that darkness and that time of loneliness and really give themselves self-care, give self-love, anything that you need to feel better, and that's when the work of recognizing, what are the reflections that this person is still giving me, because in the beginning of the relationship there's a lot of light. In the divorce space, there's a lot of shadows being reflected. And so the shadows that are being reflected in divorce, what my guides have told me is that those shadows that are reflected, those are childhood belief systems. Those are coming from the lineage, childhood belief systems, not just about marriage, not just about divorce, but about love, about what you are worthy of receiving, about the type of life that you are capable of living. And these are beliefs that are just from birth until 7 to 9 years old. We're in the theta brainwave state. We're just absorbing everything. And we're children, and so we take on our parents' narratives. We take on our parents' beliefs and our grandparents and our lineage. And then we use those beliefs without even recognizing it. Everything that's coming in, experience, conversation, information, is fueled through those beliefs. And now we're creating a reality that makes sense to us based on the beliefs. So when people are doing that in this really dark space, as opposed to, the most people going through a divorce are in this dark space and they're external fighting, talking about all the bad things, and people aren't using it as the gift that it is, because that is the key to creating the future that you desire, is to really, really take in these reflections that are really hard to take in because they're very triggering and you don't like this person the way before. That's beautiful because that person is reflecting. And then you start thinking, where did I feel that? How is this making me feel first with the reflection? What the person is saying. It's not what the person is saying and doing. That doesn't matter. What matters is, how is it making you feel? And then asking yourself, have I felt this way in this relationship before? And then reflect on that, right? And all of this is in that cocoon, in the darkness, it's in the loneliness. It's meant to be a time of cocooning of self, of taking care of self, of reflecting, of processing. So then we ask, okay, did you see it in this relationship before? Well, what about other relationships? Have you seen it in other relationships? Have you felt it in other relationships? And then the final question, which is the key to creating your future, is, did you feel this as a child? And 100% across the board, the answer to that question is yes. Yes, you felt that as a child because you are just replicating that feeling over and over and over again. And that is the key to creating the future that you desire, is really embracing this is a gift. Yes, it is hard. Yes, it is hard, but growth happens in the dark. That's where, in the mother's womb, it's dark in there. That's where babies grow. The seed under the ground, it's dark there. Growth happens in the dark. If we can shift the way we're looking at difficult times and recognize, yes, this is a difficult time. This isn't necessarily enjoyable, being a difficult time, but I can take really good care of myself and I can cocoon and I can learn everything that I'm meant to learn from this. And I can release the beliefs that do not serve me, that I adopted as a child, that came from my lineage. I can release them and I can heal them and I can replace them with new beliefs that are in alignment with my future. I deserve unconditional love. I am worthy of abundance. I am deserving of living the life that I desire. And really thinking about, what does that mean for you? Because every person is different. What does that mean for you? And then when we heal that, we're healing 7 generations before. So all of our ancestors are like, yes, do it. Because they know, they can see now the beliefs and how they played out. And we're healing that. So we're healing 7 generations before us and 7 generations after us. And that is a very powerful space to live. And that's a very powerful display of life living for children and for other family members and for friends, of recognizing, wow, she's the creator of her life. She used that divorce as a catalyst to reinvent herself. So
Thank you.
yeah.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Jane. What you said currently now, I will have to say it is very, very powerful. And hey, it takes a real person to do what you are saying, because this person has to now embrace everything, try to look for a way to bring it out, and just to rebuild a way to just give a sense of purpose, like I can do this again, I can be more stronger. If that has healed, if that energy is back, then one can now try to create a new future. Mrs. Jen, it's not easy. It's
Yeah.
going to be a very, 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 very tough one. Honestly speaking, it's going to be a very
It's
tough one.
Yeah, and I think it's only tough though because of the program way that we live our life. You know, a lot of people, it's like, I go to my job. I don't really like my job. I don't really like the people. I stay there during this time. I drive in traffic. It's like most people are living on autopilot. They have no idea that what they are doing is their creation and they don't need to do it. They can do whatever they want. They can really think about their soul's journey and purpose. And that is the shift to the fifth dimension that is happening right now. You know, the third dimension is the cages and the programs and all of these systems that don't work anymore, like the medical system, the political system, the education system, in my expertise, the legal system. You know, it's we live in this world with these systems that we have outgrown as a human consciousness. I mean, look at millennials and younger. Those people, that age group and younger, they look at the world and they're like, none of this makes any sense. And it's because it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense anymore. It did when they were created, but the time we are shifting everything in the we are shifting to the fifth dimension. The third dimension is those broken systems, right? The dominant energy, greed, power, fear, control. Those are the energies that we have been in. But there is a new earth that is being created, and it's here. It's always been here. But there's more souls, there's more humans, myself included, that live in this space now. And the fifth dimension, those dominant energies are love and empowerment and growth and authenticity and living as a sovereign being, like and connection to self, connection to others, connection to this earth. I mean, and that is what's happening. And that's the shift in divorce that, I mean, in the last 2 months, the messages that I've received, and I've been doing this work for 10 years. I have been on this journey of figuring this out. How can we divorce better? How can we do it with love? How can we empower children and empower people as opposed to destroying them, and making them scared and broken and sick? And I've always been divorced with love, and it's out of the box for sure. It's out of the typical. But in the last 2 months, I cannot I cannot overlook what has happened with me personally, with being open to receive messages and being shared this narrative to share with you today, to write in a new book, to talk ever. I just started my own podcast yesterday because my guides are very strongly telling me you need to tell this to people. You need to share this because it's the same thing. Divorce is when it happens, it happens. And it's the same thing, but it's a choice of how you want to do it. And it is a different way of approaching divorce. And it is a different way of approaching life. It's a very empowered way to live life of being like, you know what? I am the driver of this ship. I choose. I choose how I live. I choose who's in my life. I choose how I spend my time. I choose how much money I make. I choose all of these things. It's amazing.
It's really, really amazing. Like, just to choose all those things is really, really powerful. And I do not know how one can also maintain this energy that this person has actually built. There's a way of maintaining. I don't know if there's a way of maintaining and also protecting it so that one will not go back to that time again. It's not easy, because someone to recover from that situation, someone have to try his best to also try to maintain that status he or she has gotten to. How do you feel like one should maintain such level if they've gotten to a point of massive
Yeah.
recovery? Now they are planning for their future and stuff like that, Mrs. Jen.
Oh my goodness. You are so in tune. I just want to share that. I just love you. You're so cute. Your energy is just vibrant. Like your soul is like, ooh, it's so fun. Yeah, I mean that is the practice, I feel, of living this path. When you choose to step outside of the boxes and really live life on your terms and share your life purpose with the world, which makes other human life better, and everyone's is different, and there's no need to compete, and it's all beautiful, right? When you choose to live that path, I feel, and in my experience, it is a practice. I mean, I'm very diligent with my energy. I exercise daily, I meditate daily, I eat high vibrational foods, I drink a lot of water, I don't drink alcohol. I love all plants, so plants are medicine in my world. I don't do pharmaceuticals, I don't watch the news. And I think self-care and self-love is, in my world, that, and all of my friends, they love this about me. That is my love language. It's like I want to take really good care of myself because this is my physical vessel. This is my physical vessel that I can navigate the world with, and I want it to be strong, and I want it to feel good, and I want to vibe really, really high. And that's the part of going through a dark night of the soul too, is when you do that and you really take the time to process and learn what you're being shown. When you emerge from that, so my clients, when that's what I'm guiding them through this whole experience, and the legal stuff, I tell them we're doing the legal stuff, but that's the most insignificant, minuscule part. Like, it's just so easy because we have a Supreme Court, we have a governing law that tells us what to do. So that's really easy in comparison, to the whole thing. But when I guide my clients through this journey, they do emerge stronger. They know themselves a lot better, and they know how to protect their energy. Like, every day for myself, and I have 3 children, I put a bubble of protection around us individually, and I just set the intention that we are surrounded by love and expansiveness, and we are protected from any negative energy. And if you even just do that act of mindfulness, you can do that. Everyone can do it. And then you're protected energetically. I always have sage, which you can light and it clears all the bad energies. And then I always have my crystals around that I'm holding on to while I'm doing podcasts or working. And I have a gratitude candle lit. You know what I mean? It's a practice, but it feels really good. I think it feels really good to take care of yourself. And that's the way. It's all energy. Like you said in the beginning of our time together, it's all energy. We are energetic beings living in an energetic universe, and thoughts have energy, feelings have energy. And when we can start being mindful, there's a really great book called Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And I read that book every January, every new year, I reread the book. And they have 22 energy, an energy vibrational scale. And at the highest vibrations, it's freedom, bliss, love, joy, appreciation, gratitude, abundance, all of those. It works to be in that energy field. Well, now we're open to create. That's what humans are here to do. We're here to create. When we're in the lower depression, anger, fear, frustration, even saying them, it's like, oh, I feel so low. When we're in those spaces, we're mock. We can't do anything. We follow the programs. We use all the broken systems. We live lives where we're playing parts, where we don't really want to be in this marriage, in this relationship. We don't want to be working here, but our programs tell us this is what we have to do. That's what you have to do. It's like, yeah, the whole shift is, I feel, is from within. It's really loving yourself. It's being open to the messages. It's being open to magic. That's my new biggest intention, is to help people be open to magic because it's so fun. It's so fun when you see it, anytime I see a number, 11, 11, 12, 12, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. I take a screenshot. I'm like, whatever I'm doing, my angels, my guides, my masters, my ancestors, they're telling me, keep doing it. You're on the right path. And it's amazing when you can shift to that space because then you don't feel so lonely. I think a lot of people feel very isolated and lonely in this world, but we're never alone. We always have our angels, masters, guides, ancestors. My dad just passed away last March, and it has been the most extraordinary, profound experience in my life. And of course, I miss him. I miss him so much. I wish I could hug him and talk to him. But now when I talk to him, which is daily, all the time, I know that I have him moving things out of my life and bringing things into my life like you today, bringing things in, moving things out. They are always here with us. We just can't, it's just different, but you can still feel them. So I think that shift too, people recognizing you're never alone. And we live in a magical universe that is meant to be joyful. We're meant to enjoy this time because it's amazing here. We have so many good foods, so many fun things to do. We can connect with people, we can fall in love, we can have our heart broken. I mean, there's so many things we can do that are just amazing.
Exactly. I can even agree with you, more than agree with you, because it's just this life is just like a force. I will not even say like a force. Probably it's just someone I just have to decide if it's the good one or the negative energy. Just have to one has to just try is our best to put on the good energy, and putting on the good energy is not easy because it comes from within. It comes from oneself before one can get that good one. Is either if one wants to get the negative one where you just do live life stuff like that. One is not even happy. Someone, but if someone really wants to have that real happiness, it's definitely not an easy one. And I can even definitely say it, Mrs. Jen, you're a really, really strong woman. You're really, really strong. I can see it. The energy is there. That means you've really, really improved in many ways, which is really, really nice. And there's a normal question I used to ask during the end of the show, Mrs. Jen.
Yeah.
From our forefathers, from our forefathers who have passed on during the historic time, there are a lot of things, which exist during our forefathers' time. Many of it are missing today. If there is anyone or anything you would like to bring back to our time today, what do you think that thing would be, Mrs. Jen?
Wow, that's a great question. I mean, I was a philosophy major in undergrad, and I feel like just the simplicity of life and really giving yourself the ability. I feel like back then people there wasn't technology, there wasn't all these distractions. I feel like nowadays there's so many distractions that people, they don't focus on themselves. They don't focus on how healing it is to go outside and feel the wind and the sun and see the furry animals that are so cute and just like feel the plants. And I'm always hugging trees because they are givers of energy in the totem. But yeah, I feel like that I do feel like, the shift that referenced from the third to the fifth, that is what we're going back to. It's a stronger connection to this beautiful Mother Gaia earth that we live upon. And it's a recognition that we are merely inhabitants here. She does not need to keep us here. She can easily just be like, they're causing all these problems, and she'll heal. She's a living organism. So I think that's what I'm focused most on too is reconnecting to self, reconnecting to earth, reconnecting to others, removing the technology, recognizing the distractions, and just living more simply and more joyfully and more lovingly. That's my intention and focus moving forward.
Yes, like I just feel like, Mrs. Jen, I just feel like this world is like a code. If someone can get that code, one will not have issues in life. If you can just get it, forget about it. Honestly speaking, thank you so much for your time, for the opportunity, for everything you've done today, and the information you've given. Thank you
Oh,
so much, Mrs. Jen.
I love you. Thank you. You're just gorgeous. Your soul, and your smile and your eyes, it radiates joy. So thank you for doing what you're doing and for connecting people and sharing information with people, and yeah, just spreading magic and love. So thank you for what you're doing. And thank you for having me today. It was amazing.
Bye bye.
Bye, love. Mwah. Bye.